Hello, welcome everyone. Welcome to Empty Cloud Monastery. I'm Aya Soma and I'm here with Ayavata, our new Bhikkhu at Empty Cloud. We had a beautiful ordination and now we have a new son and a new daughter of the Buddha in the world. So Venerable Buddha, you probably have seen him already. With this robe, and he was a samanera. Now he has an extra robe that is not currently present in the stream, but it's definitely present in the heart. So, do you want to say a few words about what it feels to take higher ordination, Venerable?
Sure. Yeah, so we last Saturday, or yeah, just a few days ago, we had an ordination ceremony with myself and Venerable Satima, who was now a bhikkhuni, was a samaneri and now a bhikkhuni, who is currently on retreat already, I believe, at IMS, right, Venerable? So she's not here with us, but she was present, and we also had about almost 30 monastics total who were visiting and passed through to support the ordination, and quite a big group of lay people, probably maybe 100, over 100 or so. So yeah, it was really a beautiful time for me to have the feeling of community, that feeling of welcoming from the Sangha, from the monastic community, and from the lay supporters who help make it possible and bring so much joy to the event. Yeah, and especially to be able to do the ordination with another candidate. So Venerable Satima was taking a bhikkhuni ordination on the same day, and we did it parallel. So we had two simas, for those who are experts in Buddhist ordinations, but we had two separate zones for the Sangha, but right next to each other and under the same tent, so that everyone could kind of see a big group of monastics lining the tent, even though there were two separate ordination zones that were happening. And so that was also a really fortunate, really beautiful event, because something that probably hasn't happened in a while, could be hundreds or thousands of years, but if it has happened recently, it's not very common. And so that was kind of a momentous historic occasion that was really nice to do with the Sangha, because it wasn't just about, for me, it was more about the feeling of community rather than the statement that it might have made, but it was really that feeling of community with the Bhikkhu and the Bhikkhuni Sangha, being welcomed into the Bhikkhu and Bhikkhuni Sangha, which was really special.
Yes, it was a very big family on on Saturday, welcoming Venerable Buddha. Lots of monastics actually were really looking forward to welcome the two candidates. And I was curious, for you, what does it mean to take higher ordination? What's the difference between being a samanera, being a novice, and what does it mean for you to be a bhikkhu now?
Well, I think one thing that comes to mind with this is when Aya Brahmavara did her live stream. She did a live stream that some of you might have seen on Going Forth. And during the live stream, I was sitting just outside of the camera, and she asked me, what does upasampada mean? And what does pabbajja mean in Pali? And so we talked a little bit about that, and how upasampada, the word for higher ordination in English, we often call it, translated as higher ordination. Upasampada really means something more like acceptance, or entering into, kind of fully entering or being fully accepted into the community, being made to enter fully. Upa can mean something like close, or drawing near. And so whereas taking samanera ordination, that's really, I think, where I felt like I had become a monk, or I had felt like I had left society and dedicated myself to practicing a spiritual path. And in Pali, we call that pabbajja. So going forth or leaving home. And that's also the word that's used for exiles, for example. A pabbajita is someone who's been exiled, or someone who's been cast out of society, either intentionally or unintentionally. And so when I took novice ordination, samanera ordination, I really had that feeling of, okay, I'm a monk now, and I'm practicing a spiritual practice, and I've left aside my worldly concerns in terms of jobs and universities and families and things like that. But I think with Upasampada, so with the full acceptance, I had more a feeling of this is when everyone has come together to really accept me as part of the family, rather than okay, this is someone who wants to be a spiritual practitioner and they're practicing, but we don't know exactly how it will go, and then we'll see, and then maybe we'll gather a community to accept them. So there's more that feeling of everyone has now come on board. Everyone has decided that I'm allowed to be part of Sangha decisions. So future ordinations, I could say no.
You've got the power.
Yeah, I have the power now to say no. Or if here at Empty Cloud, we wanted to do some kind of Sangha procedure, now they have to handle my opinions. So if I say no, then that means that we have to talk about it. Whereas before, it's just another person who they might say something, but it doesn't have any weight.
Wow, I hadn't thought about it thoroughly of all these implications. Yeah. I guess it's too late. Oh well. We're very happy and glad that you have joined fully the Sangha, and yeah, we look forward to your wise decision making. And how does it feel to have more precepts? Well, you've been practicing obviously with 10 precepts formally, but also with more, but unofficially with more, and now it's official. So how has that been for you?
Well, I've already, some of the precepts were new, so like the rules around our robes, so now I have the 3 robes, and rules around the requisites more formally. I think as a novice, as a Samanera, I had more relaxed. So the rules are the 10 precepts are more fundamental, more core, and then I feel as a bhikkhu there's rules that are kind of extra, but they're really light. It's not a big deal. It's normal to break them or to transgress them. So things like, oh, you forgot your robe in the other room, well, now you have to confess it and you have to give it away. So those types of rules I feel are new for sure. Also the rules around offering. So even though I was generally following the offering rules, now I can't actually just walk in and offer something to the Sangha. It has to be offered to me in order for me to take it. And so some of that is a little bit different. So it's more, I think, the formality of the rules has come out, whereas before it was kind of relatively loose, the spirit. So maybe it's not offered by hand, but if it belongs to the monastery, then I can bring it out and offer it to someone who needs it. Or maybe I have my general monastic robes, but I don't really need to have rules around them. They're just kind of, generally speaking, I have them, but I just try to take care of them, but there's no rules around taking care of them in that way. So I think the rules in terms of, adding more maybe formal communal support, maybe similar to the community coming together to accept someone. I think there's more that feeling of that communal aspect of the rules, that now we discuss them and we use them to support our practice. So making sure that we're keeping track of our requisites, making sure that we're living in community harmoniously. Yeah, I feel that aspect is a little bit more prominent as of now.
Excellent. Yeah. Thank you, Venerable Bhadan. And of course, all our friends here that, let me say hello to Karuna, Jayanta, Sud, Mano, Maria, Scott, Ryushin, Madeline, Jaram, and Pink Treatment. They're all saying hello, and that they've seen your pictures. So if you have any questions for Venerable Bhadan, as well as our residents here at the monastery, you're welcome to type them in or ask them in person.
I wonder, Venerable, if you had any reflections on your experience on the other side of the ordination?
Well, it was very joyful. As I had mentioned to you already, actually, for me it was a mudita retreat. So it was joyful in the beginning, joyful in the middle, and joyful in the end. So it was there was many opportunities to rejoice. Well, first and foremost, any renunciation that happens in the world, that vow, that aspiration for renunciation, and that embodiment of renunciation is just magnificent. It really delights my mind. So the fact that it was not only one monastic, not only you, that I'm very happy that you have embraced this path, but it was also another monastic, Venerable Satima, who Ayavada mentioned that is already on retreat. But it was just so beautiful to see two people, the height of consumerist culture, right, on the verge of this overconsumption, apocalypse that we're all living in. There is this aspiration of going forth, of leaving it all behind, of restraining oneself. It's just something, just that alone is a reason to rejoice. The fact that there were so many different monastics of so many different cultures, and it was also very beautiful to have many senior Asian monastics, so recollection of where we're all coming from. Obviously this is a monastery in West Orange. We make the joke that Western monastics and orange, the orange robe. So obviously it's a Western monastery, but obviously we're coming from an Eastern tradition, Eastern monastery, 2,500 years of tradition that dates way back from the Buddha. So to see that visually, seeing both bhikkhus and bhikkhunis from Asia leading the way, literally, they were the most senior, and then having the little bit less senior Western monastics, and then the junior monastics also, well, being mixed. Actually, we had also some Asian monastics that were in the junior camp as well. It's just really delightful to remember that, to recollect, to have gratitude, which is another reason for joy. And then seeing both of you, I really liked how both of you were, asking to go forth at the same time, you and Venerable Satima. And both of you were clearly very moved and very happy, and another reason to rejoice. And it was all very moving at the end to then actually get it all completed, and the lay people as well. We hadn't advertised the ordination. We hadn't published any dates anywhere. So literally all the people that were present were because they were close to the Sangha, and it was actually quite a big number of folks. So your family also was present, and they're not born Buddhist, and it was very sweet to see also how all the lay people were concerned and looking after your family and making sure that they knew that even though the ordination looked a little cultish, as my preceptor said, that it was not a cult. She reassured him. She reassured Venerable Buddha's parents that he was actually welcomed into a sane family, or at least a family that has the aspiration to be sane. But definitely not a cult. So all of that was just very, very beautiful.
Thank you.
And Sud says, have you made any determinations to progress on the path now that you have chosen to dedicate your life to this now, since you are a bhikkhu?
Well, I definitely made a determination in the sense that that's why I became a bhikkhu, was ideally to make progress. But in terms of specific determinations, I do have a list of determinations that I'm making, actually, yes. I decided that I wouldn't take them immediately after the ceremony. I'd take some time to kind of let it all sink in so that I just really can make it with a clear mind. And also, it was exhausting being, helping set up the ordination and then with everyone. Exhausting in a good way. It wasn't exhausting in a kind of bad way, but exhausting with a lot of movement and activity. So yeah, I decided I would take a little bit of time, and then probably by the end of this week, maybe on Sunday or so, or Monday the next week, after about a week of being ordained, then I'll make some determinations more specifically for my practice.
Well, now we're very curious to know what these aspirations are, determinations rather. Most of my determinations I thought about were, the Buddha talks about the apannaka dhamma, so the dhammas that are unfailing. You get masters like Ajahn Chah talking about our basic refuges like food, sleep, and talking. So I decided to make some determinations around food, sleep, and talking. So certain days of like staying up meditating, certain days
restricting more food intake, certain days restricting more talking, and doing some determinations with regular meditation practice. So yeah, just trying to build up a kind of adhitthana power, determination power to restrict certain things that that can distract us from a more regular practice. So yeah, that's what I've kind of decided to do.
Sadhu. That's very praiseworthy. And Mano says, it appears that there was a bit of emotions presenting right before the culmination of the ceremony. I was very moved by this as well. Was it due to the sense of finality and decision to move forward?
Yes, I did cry during my ordination. I think it was really just the feeling of that the Buddha, entering the Buddha's family, and that the Buddha had I had followed in the footsteps of the Buddha, and I had entered into his shelter, his refuge. Venerable Satima used the word humbling for how she felt about it, which I think is pretty good. Kind of like, someone goes out of their way to provide this for people. The Buddha went out of his way to teach the Dhamma and to train monastics and to make it possible for us to go forth so many thousands of years later. And so I think for me it was that feeling of my respect for the Buddha, my love for the Buddha and for what he had done to create this, and the feeling of I can enter it now, and finally I'm being accepted into it, being embraced by the community, to enter into that. So it was really that feeling of the Buddha as my teacher, and that I'm doing what my teacher wanted me to do, and I'm entering into his family and following his guidance. So it was really that feeling for me. It was the feeling of love for my teacher. Yeah.
Sadhu. Well, he started crying, and then everybody else also started crying. Obviously, out of joy and out of seeing the beauty of that heart that has that aspiration. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I will say there was also the second part. So I went over to the Bhikkhuni Sangha side and kind of we had a sort of request for the Bhikkhunis to also welcome me to the Sangha, and that was also very powerful. Feeling like all these people have come. They didn't come for me. They actually were there for Venerable Satima, and then some of them at least, and some of them were there also to support me, and then they all kind of came together and were so welcoming and so supportive, and we got to have that time of building connections and talking and spending time together. And so then there was the moment of kind of the Bhikkhuni Sangha also welcoming me was very, very powerful. Felt really like everyone was uplifting and supporting my practice.
Yes, the full Sangha is happy that you've joined. And anyone here wants to ask a question to Venerable Vata or make a comment?
I have a question. Near the end, the senior monastic who was there gave you some advice or encouragement. Is it okay to share that? I couldn't hear.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Interested in what he had to say.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. Bhante Uparatana. That was Bhante. We had a senior Sri Lankan monastic. For those who might not have heard, who gave some instruction to us after the ordination, myself and Venerable Satima, and yeah, he said, he talked about the importance of sila. So he was talking about how sila can be our teacher, our virtue and our precepts can be our teacher, and that this was really something fundamental for us. And he encouraged us in the 3 trainings, so sila, samadhi, and panya, like developing our virtue and our ethics, developing our meditation, and developing wisdom. And yeah, he was kind of just encouraging us in those fundamentals of the holy life, and sort of, saying now is your time to really dedicate yourself to this and really make this your basis and make this your foundation to build on. And another comment he made, which I don't know how many people caught it, because he said something in Pali, which doesn't make sense to people who don't know Pali and don't know the context. But he said that now you're wearing the dhajja of the arahants. So he said you're wearing the dhajja. And the dhajja is the a war banner, like a banner or a flag, and we say that the robe is the banner of the Arahants. So all the Arahants in the past who were monks, they had the same robe and they wore this, and so this is like a flag that the Arahants have victory over suffering and over samsara. And he said that now you're wearing that, and so you have to kind of respect it and put forth energy in practice. So that was also something a comment that stuck in my mind about what he said. Yeah.
Sobering.
Yes, it's very interesting because my mom, every now and then, she asks me, why can't I just remove this robe and wear normal clothing, or at least part of the time? And yeah, it is actually so important. I'm so blessed. We're so blessed to have this robe, because it is, once again, a reminder, a tangible reminder of what we have dedicated our life towards. And also it's a reminder to us and a reminder to everyone else as well, right? So then every moment we can recollect, actually, is my conduct, especially when, the habits come back and we slip into our defilements, and then we can, I think it's actually also good to be averse to our defilements, and go like, no, actually, really, that is staining this robe. This is staining that aspiration, this is staining that vow. But if we switch, we get into our lay clothing, then we can stain it all we want. We can wash it and put some other stuff about this one, right? It's we want to keep it pure. We want to really keep it also available to others, because every action that we do, then it's not just only our responsibility, but it is a responsibility that falls onto the whole Sangha, which then, if the Sangha starts practicing not too well, also impedes, obstructs the paths of other aspirant renunciants, because they don't see anymore the value of this form. So we're doing a disservice, actually, to our teacher, to the Buddha. So yeah, it's actually a very good reflection. Obviously, a very wise bhikkhu that he was the most senior there. 50 vasas.
Vasa, yeah.
Incredible. Yeah, what a blessing. And Yonada says, may your higher ordination propel you on the path to full liberation, Venerable Vada. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And Phyllis Eternal says, very happy for Bhikkhu Vada, really happy, to see also me. Very, very kind.
Yeah. ISOM has been away in Italy for almost 2 years. You've been back and forth, or a year?
Well, now officially since February, I've been going a few times, but now I've been away since February, so it's been quite a lot of months, 8 months or so. Yeah, we're starting a new monastery in Italy, and I have to be a little bit closer to my mom, who isn't doing too well, so that's why you haven't seen me too much, either in person or online. But you'll definitely see more of Venerable Vada, both online and here at Empty Cloud Monastery, and also possibly in Italy here and there. Okay, so, well, good to see you all, and if you have any other questions, you can join us this evening for Monk Chat at 7:30 p.m., correct?
Yes.
New York City time. All right, so we can end with 3 sadhus.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.